Hello everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and today you join us with the all-new Mercedes CLE Cabriolet, and we are lucky to have it enough for this week of testing in the absolutely gorgeous CLE 53 Spec. So, as an AMG, it's got some performance goodies under it, but the real question is, what is this new Mercedes CLE? If you didn't know, Mercedes as a brand has combined the C-Class Coupe and Cabriolet and the E-Class Coupe and Cabriolet into one model. It's kind of where we get that CLE nameplate. And this is definitely an interesting vehicle to explore over the course of this week, and I hope in this video I will be able to kind of balance out that difference. Is it more E-Class or is it more C-Class, or is it a really true good blend of both? And that blending situation is a big conversation for this all new CLE, as I think, at least over the course of my week of testing, it does a really good job at blending really extreme comfort as well as really extreme performance capabilities as well. And we'll see how extreme both of those can actually go in this video. So let's go dive in. I'll take you guys on a full tour of all the awesome design, powertrain, as well as luxury features of this all-new CLE 53 Cabriolet, and I'll give you my impressions over the course of this week of testing. Let's go dive in. Now, before we go take a look at this vehicle, let's go see what's under the hood. So under the hood of this Mercedes CLE 53 AMG is a pretty potent engine. This is a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6, and we have seen this engine across a variety of Mercedes vehicles. It has that EQ boost technology, so we have a 48-volt mild hybrid system attached to this whole powertrain, and it makes quite a lot of power at around 443 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. But with the EQ boost system, this 48-volt system, you'll get an additional torque boost and a little bit of a power boost as well in some short occasions. So that is a nice touch there. And this is a very boosted engine. You really feel that turbocharged sense in it. And then this is not a true ground-up AMG engine. It's almost like this AMG enhanced engine. So it is still pretty potent, but you have plenty of AMG badging on the top here. Now this is paired to a 9-speed automatic gearbox, which is okay. We'll get into that in the driving impressions, and that's sending power to all 4 wheels via the AMG enhanced 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive system. And what that means is that you can actually, with all the right options ticked on the configurator, be able to send power to the rear wheels actually almost 100%. So you can actually have some fun in the CLE 53 AMG Cabriolet if you do choose to do so. Though this all comes at a little bit of a cost with this Cabriolet package. You're getting almost close to near 4,600 pounds of weight. So it's definitely present. It's still maybe a little bit more E-Class in terms of its overall size and underpinnings and comfort. But with this new CLE kind of combining nature, we're bringing a lot of that sporty dynamics from the C-Class Coupe lineup of old into this vehicle. So we'll dive into that in the driving impressions. But under the hood here, pretty nice, pretty neat, and I think it looks quite good. And shockingly, this thing sounds pretty impressive as well. Now let's talk design. The CLE Cabriolet, or at least the CLE itself, really does blend, I would say, both the E and C-Class into its own unique kind of shape, but I still see a little bit more C-Class inspiration in its overall design elements, especially with these headlights up here. We only have that one single daytime running light. If you go to an E-Class, you're going to get almost like 2 styles. That's how the Mercedes headlight system has always really worked. But what I really like about the CLE 53 is they've flared and bulged out everything. This hood is really aggressive. Very strong signature Mercedes-esque lines, but we now add a fully functional hood heat extraction vent in here, which looks really nice and is, again, functional. I like that. I like the new Falterbach AMG badge we have right on the top of the hood there. I think that looks really cool, and you can really see how much wider these front fenders and even rear fenders are than even a typical CLE or C-Class or E-Class, which I think is really nice. Coming down here, we have the signature AMG Panamericana grille now. I think it looks pretty good in this application. Not too big and gaping, but I think just the right size, which is quite nice. And you have all of these big open vents all around us up here. You can even see down here, looks like we have an additional cooler mounted flat down over there on top of all the other coolers in this vehicle. So I think it's styled really well on the front end. And I love this optional Patagonia red metallic paint here. It's a little bit pricey, but it looks absolutely gorgeous here in person. Next up are these absolutely awesome wheels. Now these are actually an option. They're the AMG forged wheels, which I think look absolutely gorgeous. They have this matte black finish around them, and they're hiding these really nice big red AMG calipers up front drilled rotors. These are some impressive brakes, I can definitely tell you that. And they are rocking some pretty aggressive and impressive rubber. This is the newer generation Michelin Pilot Sport S5 tires, and they are huge. These are 265 35s, 020s up front. Out back, they're 295 30s. So yeah, these are some big tires on this vehicle, and you can definitely feel that on the road. They're really, really big. You can kind of feel it, almost a little tram lining in some situations, but overall, really nice comfort tire and wheel package, while also offering a pretty impressive breadth of performance capability. And we actually have rear axle steering on this particular CLE 53. It's a very minimal 2.5 degrees, but it does make a little bit of a difference in some turn-in situations, especially in parking lots, which I think this vehicle may spend a lot of time in. Now, coming around to the rear end of the all-new CLE Cabriolet, this is definitely an interesting design piece back here. It's a little bit more C-Class than E-Class, I would say, back here. It almost looks like a generation next of the C-Class coupe, especially with this taillight design. It reminds me a lot of the GLC coupe, actually. I really do like, though, the contrasting silver trim around the entire portion of the top area over here. This reminds me a lot of the E-Class coupe, so it's really interesting blend there. Back here, though, is a lot of typical Mercedes stuff. We have our camera built into the Mercedes logo, as well as our trunk release. You have the trunk itself. It's around a little over 13 cubic feet, so it is actually usable. Though we also have this divider area over here, which you can move with this button, so you can put the top down. That reduces cargo area just by a little bit. But of course, it's a convertible rear trunk area, so of course nothing too crazily big, but shockingly bigger than some more expensive vehicles that we just recently test. But my favorite part about the rear end of this vehicle has to be this lower area over here. So yes, we get these really gorgeous quad exhaust tips and this really dark chrome finish, but I really like the aggressive style diffuser situation down here, and it's not fake. It's a real actual diffuser. It goes all the way back to as far down as it can go, and it is actually helping the aerodynamics of this car. So thank you, AMG and Mercedes, for making a real diffuser and not one for show. But I also really like how they styled the rear end of this car, other than, you know, this nice little lip spoiler here, but how the car comes back to a point and is focused around how flared out these rear arches are. You can see the tires basically sticking out from the side of the car. It's that wide of these rear tires, and it looks so cool, so AMG, and very performance oriented. I really appreciate that. But we also have to talk about this soft top up here, which is actually very, very quiet on the road, and I think works perfectly fine. It takes around 20 seconds to open and close, which isn't too quick, but you can do it up to around 37 miles per hour, which is pretty impressive. We also have a heated rear glass element back here, and a light actually in the roof from the inside at night, which is really cool. And it can come in a few different color options, as well as you can option on the Mercedes configurator. So that's quite nice as well. But let's go hop inside of this CLE 53 Cabriolet and see how nice this interior actually is. Okay guys, we're gonna go inside of the CLE 53 Cabriolet. Now we have our Mercedes key fob here. Of course, we have passive unlock and lock, but I'm just gonna unlock it here so we see what the taillights look like when unlocking. We don't seem to have any cool animations on this particular one. I've tried all my best, but I haven't really seen anything cool come up. But we're gonna go hop inside and check out this awesome interior here. I really like the door clunk sounds on those Mercedes as well. Have a listen to this. Nice and solid, very heavy door, and I like an actual just regular good old handle. A lot of Mercedes are moving to like that pop-out handle. This is this nice split silver accented with our little button right there. But let's hop inside and see what we're dealing with. Unlocking the doors, we have our mirrors fold out here, opening our door, of course, frameless. Let's hop inside. It's a little wet today. We do have a really nice door panel over here. So this one is wrapped in this nice material up here all the way down, but we'll talk about this interior in just a sec because there's mixed opinions on some things. For all the AMG stuff waking up for us. And we're gonna start up the vehicle, so we'll put our foot onto the brake. We have our start stop button located up on the dash here. And check out what the steering wheel will do when you turn on the vehicle. Check out those really cool little AMG animations there. And our Mercedes is started up for us. So what are we looking at here? So this is the macchiato beige interior. So this is actually not a very AMG-esque interior for the CLE 53. You can actually go a little more aggressive. On the seat front here, this is the more comfort seat. So we have these really nice, big, comfortable seat backs, as well as cushions on the bottom area over here. We have our air scarf system. We can move the headrest over there. Nice big cushions, but you're gonna notice the lack of a lot of bolstering support, which you may want for this vehicle. So you may wanna opt for those more aggressive AMG seats. And of course, all the seats are controlled via these interesting buttons on the doors here. We've seen this on the new E-Class that we had last year. We also have ventilation, heating, as well. So as well as the air scarf control, you can hear all the fans kick on for that when you activate them. And all of these controls here will control our seat, and they're fixed. So it's more of like a touch haptic button here. You kind of just push them in an opposite direction to get them to go. It's a little bit interesting. There's like this knurled finish on it, but I'm not too big of a fan of this panel here. It's all plastic. It's gloss black plastic. Even the door opening and closing buttons are black plastic. I like the ambient lighting around it, but I wish this was a little bit nicer. Our lower controls over here for our windows are kind of nice. They actually feel quite nice to use. We have an all button as well to kind of move all the windows up and down since this is a convertible. And we have our controls for our mirror, which is also this kind of like haptic plastic panel here. Some cheaper plastics down here, but it is all color matched. Nice big door opening slots there. I like this ambient light strip throughout the entire door there. But of course, they're not going to cheap out on our awesome and gorgeous metal Burmester speakers in this particular car. We even have speakers up on the top of the doors over there, which is quite nice. And then we come to the rest of this interior. Now, this is supposed to be sort of an E-Class and C-Class coupe replacement, the CLE, and it takes way more of the interior aspect from the new C-Class versus the E-Class, especially the E-Class of old. So we have a very familiar steering wheel. This is the newer generation AMG steering wheel. We've seen this on the previous E-Class coupe, actually in the AMG line. So this is not a new steering wheel. That's giving us, of course, this nice leather wrapping on this particular one. We have, of course, our awesome AMG controls here, so we can change our drive modes very simply over here. You can see that changing. We also have this configurable section over here. We can change this to be exhaust, traction control, AMG dynamics, a whole bunch of different settings there. So that's pretty cool and easy to use. We can change our dampers, and this will all expand into our infotainment screen. Nice big metal paddle shifters. I do like that. And of course, we have our traditional Mercedes stocks here. A little bit scratchy feeling, but they do feel quite nice to use, and I love the turn signal sound. Quite nice. And of course, our gear selector stock there for a 9-speed automatic gearbox. This one has this really cool aluminum style trim here, though it doesn't feel particularly that premium. I wish there was like a little bit of a nicer carbon fiber or something, but I know there's a lot of different options there. And it also carries over to here on the dash. Ambient lighting all around, even in the air vents as well, which is really cool. But these air vents, as you can see, are no longer this nice solid like metal kind of controls. It's all plastic. So this is clicking sound, which I think is nice and satisfying, but it just doesn't feel as high quality as they once used to be. I do like this nice stitched upper dash portion, especially around the air vents. I think that's a nice touch there. This little trim piece up there is cool. Over to the steering section, we have our, of course, digital driver cluster here. This one does not have a heads-up display, even at its $90,000 plus price, which is a little bit disappointing, but we do have the driver assistance package, which is a pretty expensive option, so we get all of those fun stuff. But again, that's been on Mercedes for a long time now. And of course, we can change and configure our panel here, which is pretty easy from swiping through all these different gauges here. Of course, once you get into the gauge, you can kind of swipe and endlessly kind of scroll through all the different options you have there. And our right-hand panel will control our touchscreens. Mercedes have had this for quite some time now. We're seeing it kind of being duplicated and replicated from some other manufacturers. It works okay. These are all gloss black plastic panels here, so they can get a little fingerprinty, and this is all haptic sliding stuff, so it may take a little bit to get used to, but it does work if you do get used to it. I do like this steering wheel overall, though, and the driving position in the CLE is actually quite good. I feel nice and low. Steering wheel coming out at you. I do like that quite a lot. And lots of room in here as well. It's pretty spacious. We have our headlight controls over here still, so that's pretty easy to access with this little scroll wheel over here. And then coming over to this center console area over here, this is where I have a little bit of a mixed opinion. So I actually don't mind the new Mercedes infotainment screen software. We've again experienced this on the new GLC, on the new E-Class. I've gotten used to it. It actually works quite well. It's very quick and intuitive to use. There's a lot of shortcuts to get to different pages. And of course, if you don't like this layout, you can also do it to the 0 layer. So what that does is it will always display this map behind it. Essentially, if you want to access your app drawer, it kind of opens up a more iPad style-ish screen. This is a little bit easier to actually control with the steering wheel controls versus the other format, but I think the other one looks just a little bit cleaner in some different occasions. Of course, all of our climate controls are also fixed now into the screen, but you'll always have them right here. They're also really pretty easy to use, so adjusting our temperatures is pretty easy. We'll get a color also reflected in the air vents as well as in our own zone if we adjust our temperatures differently, which is pretty cool. So it'll go red for hot, blue for cold, and you can adjust your fan speeds pretty easily there. There's also a larger climate menu. You can access some more controls there. And of course, we have our awesome Mercedes camera systems here. So again, these are one of my favorite camera systems in the industry. They work really, really well. Very crisp, clean animations here, right on par with things from like BMW and the other top manufacturers as well. So really good camera stuff there. A few different views you can select around as well. Of course, we have parking assistance features as well, which is really great. So no complaints there whatsoever. Of course, this one, since it is a convertible, it gets a cool new feature from the Mercedes SL Roadster. And as you can see, this screen is actually on a hinge. So if it's really sunny out and the car is going to detect that, I believe, if it's too sunny and you can't see the screen, it will actually move up. But you can do that manually by pressing this button here. So if I press this, the whole screen actually tilts up for you so it's no longer in the sun's glare. Now, could they have just built into the dash better and not have it glared? Yes, but this is how they chose to do the interior. So it comes with this kind of nifty little feature there. Love it or hate it, that's what you're going to get in this new CLE convertible. The screen size is okay. It's not the biggest, actually, but, you know, it works well. We also have that assistant here, so I could say, hey, Mercedes, turn on my ventilated seat.
I'm switching on the seat ventilation.
That just turned on right there. So that's a really fun feature. Works actually pretty well. I'd say probably one of the best voice navigation systems or voice assistant systems in the industry right now. Really, really good. But just some of the quality things in here, I'm just not too impressed, especially for a vehicle that's around $90,000 as we have configured here. Like, this is all black piano plastic and it doesn't feel particularly nice. I wish they continued this trim down here still, or brought like the wood and all that nice stuff in here. They just don't seem to be doing that anymore in their interiors. It's a little bit unfortunate. Sure, all the ambient lighting's really nice and cool, but some of the material choices could be a little bit better for this modern age. But that's where we're seeing a lot of German manufacturers go nowadays. And this whole panel is actually just a haptic touch panel. So you can see you can control your volume, like slide it or press it, but the whole panel does move there. We also have a fingerprint scanner here, so that's pretty cool. So you can do driver recognition, which is kind of nice. Opening up this panel here, I have some issues here. So I've complained about this on some other Mercedes models, but it's just too small of an opening. You cannot get your phone in and out of there very easily, which is kind of annoying. Yes, there's two USB-C ports, but these cup holders are straight up just too small. They are just simply too small. You can see how small this one is. You cannot literally fit two coffee cups next to them, actually. So, I mean, that might be an American issue, but this is a pretty small cup holder area, especially for 2025. Thankfully, we do have hard buttons for our convertible top here, so you can open and close the top with these buttons and open up your air scarf system. So that's not the air scarf system, apologies. This is going to be opening up your wind deflector system here on the centerpiece there, so that's actually quite useful. We do have the fan style opening for our center armrest here, so we press this button, that opens up with a pretty deep storage space over here, felt lined USB-C port, which is nice. And of course, then we have our glove box here, which thankfully has a manual opening release there. And it's pretty big, actually, felt lined as well. So there's actually a good amount of storage in here. So that's not a big issue. I can't say that same about some other competitors. Sometimes they have a little bit reduced storage for some models. Otherwise, in this infotainment system, there's not much to kind of really dig into. There's a lot of apps and customizable features. You can change all of your ambient light settings in here, and there's plenty color options in there, so that's quite nice. As well, you have some automated AI routines if you use the vehicle a lot. You have a web browser in the vehicle, so you could literally browse the web in here, which is pretty cool. You have YouTube, all that fun stuff. So it's definitely tech forward for sure. So I think that's a cool feature, but you know, I'm not sure if everyone's going to be using that. The built-in Mercedes navigation system is actually pretty good. Since this car, all Mercedes really have vehicle-to-X communications. It says all these pothole notifications are actually from other Mercedes noticing there's a pothole. I think that's a pretty cool feature. Some other vehicles do this as well. It's not an exclusive Mercedes thing, but I think it's a cool touch to add into their navigation. Of course, we have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. So if you want to do your phone projection, that also works pretty well in here with no issues. So that's quite nice as well. Otherwise, guys, this is a pretty nice, comfortable interior. I like the driving position, like I mentioned. We have a cool panel up here to control some other stuff. Nice ambient lit around there. Mirrors work pretty well. No complaints there either. But I just wish some of the materials were as nice as some older Mercedes used to be. They've definitely stepped down some stuff, a lot more gloss black plastic, and you know, not as much nice trim as it used to be, but you know, that's how it is in the modern day car industry, unfortunately. So if you like the older one, go for it. Otherwise, if you want a brand new car, this CLE 53 is very nice. Don't get me wrong, but maybe not as nice as some of the Mercedes used to be. Now, what about getting in the rear seats of the all new CLE 53? Well, all you have to do is come up to your either front driver or passenger seat and pull this little lever here, and it should pull the seats up for you. There we go. And the seat's going to automatically slide forward, so I have a little bit more of an accessible space to get in here. Now, this is a little bit of a smaller vehicle than the old C-Class coupe and convertible, so let's see if I can still fit back here. I'm going to pull the seat back. Hopefully it stops for my legs. Oh, okay, it did. That's good. Okay, so that driver might have to move back just a little bit if someone's in front of me there, but let's see what we have. So we have some ambient lighting back here. The entire side of the car is actually ambient lit back here, which I think is absolutely awesome. We have our own air vents, but I don't seem to see any charge ports back here whatsoever, so that's an interesting omission. We do have a big hump in the center, of course, rear-wheel drive architecture, 2 cup holders here, a little storage cubby, as well as some more storage over there. We have our own Burmester speakers back here as well, very nicely appointed. Seats are actually quite comfortable, very nice sculpture out of here, actually pretty good bolstering, and you know, I can actually fit back here. It's tight, but I don't feel claustrophobically cramped, so that's actually a good sign. Let me show you guys what the headroom looks like. So as you can see, the top is up right now, but I actually do fit, so that actually is pretty nice. And like I said, it's tight back here and small, but it's not that small. It's way bigger than something like a 2 Series convertible or 2 Series coupe, for example, if you were thinking about that kind of car. So not too bad back here in terms of headroom. I do touch the fabric top a little bit, but it's fine. All you have to do is just take the top off. It's a convertible at the end of the day. And of course, getting out is just as easy. I just pull that seat forward. It will slide itself up. And all I have to do is open the door and hop out. So that's really not too bad of a situation whatsoever. So this is definitely doable, I would say, for really short trips. But I'm not too sure if I'd want to be back there for a longer journey. Now, of course, this is the Cabriolet. Thankfully, we have hard buttons to put the top down, and we can do so up to 37 miles per hour. So as you can see, we're going at speed now. The top is going down. It does take a little bit of time. It's around 20 seconds to operate, but I do like that you can do it up to 37 miles per hour, and it is a really nice experience in here to do so. It's still holding it. It's doing its little thing, and there we go. And we'll put up our air cap system here, which has a little wind deflector on the roof and behind us as well to kind of reduce the wind buffeting in the interior. And of course, we have our Mercedes air scarf system here, keeping us a nice stream of very, very hot air on our necks, heated seats as well. But yeah, this is a really cool car. It's very, very comfortable. When we're driving around now in comfort mode over here, the suspension is just fantastic. It soaks up all the bumps, and even for an AMG, it's still very, very comfortable. And you know, there's multiple flavors of CLE coupe and cabriolet you can get from the 4 cylinders. You can even get the 450 with this engine just basically deboosted. It's interesting as there's not much competition left anymore. The Audi A5 convertible and Cabriolet are gone. So is even the A3. It's really just this and the BMW 4 Series that are left in this class. And that vehicle is arguably a lot cheaper than this car. I would say in some cases it's actually much more sporty than even this AMG model is. But you know, this being a CLE, blending that C and E class together, it is still, at the end of the day, a little more E-Class. It's more comfort focused, it's more luxury focused. Even the interior elements and stuff, it feels a little bit more luxurious, a lot more features, more softer, more comfortable. But it has that ability though to actually be a little more aggressive. You can press this exhaust button, open up the exhaust valves, we can turn it into Sport Plus or race mode, and it does tighten everything up a lot. So we'll have a little bit of a taste of that right now. We'll even put it into one of the cool Super Sport gauges we have on here. We have rear wheel steering on this car as well. It really wakes up when you put it into Sport Plus and race modes, that is for sure. But again, it's still soft. The suspension damping definitely gets stiffer in Sport Plus dampers, but it's still has a softed, rounded edges around it, I would say. really aggressive downshifts here. I really like that. Brakes are incredibly strong. We have 6 piston calipers up front on these AMG performance brakes, so definitely impressive braking performance here. And this transmission, I have to say, shifts are pretty quick actually. They're pretty responsive even with the paddles. We can even lock it in manual mode as well, so I can press this button. I can also do it from the steering wheel here, and it'll be locked in a manual mode setting. So that's a really nice feature as well in this CLE 53. And this car has another flip side ability to it. So it also has the benefit of being able to be a very comfortable, calm cruiser as well. So you can actually put it into a reduced engine mode as we have right now. And since it has this 48-volt mild hybrid system, it can literally just shut the engine off and coast. So I'm gonna let my foot off the gas now. And look at that, we have a little sailboat icon. The car is just coasting along now with the engine off, and that's going to help you to get a little bit more enhanced fuel economy than otherwise. It's still not the best. You're going to probably see around 26, 27 mpg on the highway, which, you know, is okay, nothing crazy, but for all this performance, I think it's a pretty good number in this vehicle. And like I mentioned, it has that ability to really have that performance capability, as well as being this nice, comfortable day-to-day weekend cruiser with the top down, quiet interior. Now, steering is definitely interesting on this car. So we do have rear axle steering. So there's just 2.5 degrees of rear axle steering on this car, so it's nothing too aggressive, but definitely does make steering inputs a little twitchy. You can see how the car kind of wiggles along. So when you're kind of going in a corner, turning in, you do have to be a little bit more mindful of that rear axle steering on the car, because it might kind of turn a little bit more than you expect. And it's definitely a heavily boosted engine as well. You can really hear that turbo when you're on it in the Sport Plus modes, which I think is really cool. And the exhaust actually has a really nice resonance and sound to it. It's not all pumped in fake audio as we've seen in a lot of other vehicles on these days. Even some AMG vehicles like a GLA 35 or even the new GLC as well, but this has a real nice inline 6 exhaust sound to it, so I do really appreciate they kept that here in this new CLE. Turn in is good, but it's still, like I said, a little bit heavier, a little bit bigger, and a little bit more comfort focused than its closest competitor, something like a BMW M440 Coupe. And you also have to look at this car in terms of price. This one, as configured, is $95,000. Yes, it is the Cabriolet, but you can get a M4 Cabriolet at this point, and that is just a whole nother world of performance compared to even to this vehicle. So it's a little difficult to compare to the only 2 really left competitors in this German coupe performance class. And I love the awesome Mercedes race start function. That is always fun as well. Okay guys, so out here on the highway, we do have the top up now. It's a little bit of a different experience in here. It's very, very quiet. I'm actually going to pop it into my individual setting that I have set for reduced drive mode, and that allows this vehicle to coast on the highway. So it's literally going to shut off right now, and it's off the engine, and the car is coasting on the highway. Instantly turns back on with that 48-volt electrical system here, and of course Mercedes' crazy advanced beltless engine they've been doing recently. Out here on the highway, as I said, this is a wonderful cruiser convertible. The suspension, like I said, it has a lot more of those E-Class derived components, so it's very, very soft and comfortable. Even in its most aggressive form as an AMG vehicle, it still does a great job of being comfortable on the highway. It doesn't feel overly stiff. The bumps and everything are very well rounded out. All the body motions are very well controlled. We do have the AMG ride control in this vehicle, so like I said, pop these dampers into Sport Plus and this car dramatically transforms. It is very stiff in Sport Plus actually. And this one does also come with the driver assistance package, which is a hefty price, but it does work. So I'm gonna actually pop open our driver assistance display here so I can give you guys a little more of an idea what's happening. Really great graphics on this, and it's again pretty simple to easy to use. I just turn on adaptive cruise control and set my speed, and voila, we are ready to go. And you know, this is an advanced all new system from Mercedes. They are working on very crazy stuff right now in like the S-Class and the EQS. You can see it's now doing an automatic lane change because it says the person in front of me is driving too slow. So it has that fun capability. Lots of distance control as well. And one of the most, I think, distance controls I've been able to see on some vehicles, how many adjustments you can make there. So that's really cool. But this is not a hands-free system as far as I'm concerned. There are more advanced systems obviously in the market, but Mercedes has actually had this for such a long time now. It's not even like super new tech to a lot of their vehicles. So if you're coming from, you know, like a 2019 E-Class convertible, it's going to have this exact same function pretty much, lane change assist. As always, guys, definitely go check out these cars in person if you are really considering to test one of them. And thank you again for joining us on yet another review and drive over here at Allcarnews. I'm going to shut up, let the car do some talking for a little bit, and stay tuned for more coming soon. Cheers.